Well, good morning, everybody, to another coaching session. Today, we're talking all about prospecting. So get your materials printed. We're going to go through that. This is part 2 to prospecting 1 that is on the intranet site under training videos, June 13th, prospecting. In that particular class, we talked about, I've got a copy of it here. We talked about all the different ways to prospect. So this is found in your planning book. We're not going to go through that today. We're going to talk about prospecting from a different angle. And hey, Joe, I was wondering, when we're recording these, is there a way to make my screen larger in the recording when you're recording it, or does that have to?
They don't allow us to edit camera angles or screen share sizes or things like that.
Okay, so I'm always going to be a small thumbnail on the recording?
No, on the recording, it's actually a 2-pane. So every time you talk, you're nice and big.
Okay, and that's what you're seeing, and that's what you're recording.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, sorry for the kitchen cleaning there, post record, but okay. Wanted to make sure this content is good this morning. Okay, everybody, let's grab this and let's go immediately into the essentials of good prospecting. I've got some tips for you that are in addition to what we've got printed out. Oh, Joe, I need back the hosting capabilities to share. Okay. Or
yeah, you definitely need to be able to share. Hang on a second. There you go.
Hold, please. Your call is very important to us. Here at Berkshire Hathaway, we have quality real estate services. We care about our agents.
Berkshire Hathaway, Utah Properties agents today. Press 3 for recording of new listings in your area.
Exactly. Here we go. Share, prospecting, yay. Okay, here we go. Jumping right into some of the essentials. All right, first of all, take a look at this list. We've got ask, follow up, value, solve problems, time, mindset, numbers. Okay, so that's how I view the essentials of prospecting. Let's take one of these at a time. And I want you to, I've left some space here for you to write some notes. So here we go. First of all, 2 important aspects here are 1, ask for business. 2, ask good questions to discover obstacles, problems, worries, or concerns. Again, in previous coaching sessions, I've mentioned a lot in our communication sections about the importance of discovery, better solutions, more value, less objections, and the sale and the process happens easier. So remember, when we engage anybody, we're not just asking for business. Think of how amateur that would be if all I did was say, Rachel, when are you going to list your property with me? That would be very amateur. Although I guess we could debate that asking for it is better than not in most cases, but not in all. But better than that would be to discover what kind of information or things could I go research, or obstacles that are out there that I could provide solutions for. Okay. So think about how you engage in the ask. Make sure that you're discovering you have good discovery. Okay. Underneath here, guys, write this in. Here's the question. Should I always ask for business every time I engage somebody? Okay. Every time I talk to anyone, am I always asking for business? Notice my words. I'm emphasizing them. Always, every time, what do you think? So I get this a lot from those who are really trying to turn around their business. And frankly, here's what I put in my notes, guys. Not every time. Okay. We don't just reach out to people only to ask for business. Okay. So a little warning there. Make sure that you're genuine, that you're caring about people. You lead with your heart. A lot of people that we talk to are not in the the buying or selling phase. We can certainly ask, who do they know, but make sure that not every time you talk to somebody, all you're doing is asking for business. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Follow up in our business is absolutely key. It takes repeated contacts. I've heard different numbers on this through the years. Some as high as 20 times, 30 times, 7 times. I've heard a lot of different, I guess, analytics on how many times you'll have to contact a lead. So in my emphasis today, if you're looking for a client in 7 days, your follow-up is really, really key in how you do that. So good follow-up is the process of multiple meaningful contacts at the appropriate period of time. So notice I'm saying meaningful contacts. So back up here, if I already have discovered what might be in the way or information that would be interesting to them in making a decision, that is when I make the contact. Okay, that's follow-up. Number 3, we focus on value. So every time we contact someone, we think about what kinds of information we can provide that guides their decision. So a lot of my scripts are this, like, hey, Rachel, I've been giving a lot of thought to our last conversation. And you mentioned, whatever, fill in the blank. I've been thinking about that. And what I discovered was some information about that I thought you might find interesting. Okay. And so now I'm sharing it. I could do this by all the different ways of contacting. I could do this by phone call. I could do this by email. I could even do this by text, voicemail, whatever, right? But remember, I'm delivering something of value in my meaningful follow-up, okay? Next one, solving problems. This is another way to say the same thing up here about follow-up and meaningful contact, is that we're solving the problem. So if you don't know what the problem is, we go back up to number 1, right? Ask good questions. If we don't know if the problem is, then we better go back up to number 1. Okay. So during the follow-up, we communicate how problems may be solved. Again, I was thinking about the fact that you've got a property to sell and one to purchase, and you would like to make only one move. So that is the problem. So I was thinking about something that might help you. Okay. So this is where I might go into forms. So you might want to write, this, I might solve a multiple transaction process by looking at forms. That solves a problem and how the process is there. Okay. Time. This is a problem. I think there's a disease amongst a lot of agents who are not happy with their production. They frankly just don't devote the time to this. Guys, I was a wrestler at Brighton High School, and at Brighton had like 20 years of state championships. And the coach there was Dave Chavis. He started off under Coach Neff at Hillcrest, and he was his mentor. He brought a lot of that to Brighton. Dave Chavis was and still is an amazingly disciplined man. And he used to just tell us it's all about mat time to get better. And he's just saying, practice makes perfect, and you become a better wrestler when you devote time to it. So it was mat time. Well, how much time do we really devote to finding new business? Why don't you ask yourself that right here? How much time do I devote to finding new business? Question mark. Okay, write that in right underneath time. How much time do I devote to finding new business? So these would be key indicators on how your business is going. Clearly, if we're not spending time finding new business, we're certainly going to struggle. I know that that's obvious, but the next one is, what can I do to devote more time to this? And I think we can probably get some answers there, and it's coming up on this next page. Okay. So why don't you answer your own question there on how much time on it? Why don't we do daily basis and write that down for right now? Let's just do on a daily basis, how much time do I spend? Okay. And you keep that to yourself for now. You're managing your own business here, whatever that number is. Okay. I'll come back to that in a minute. All right. Next one is mindset. Let me tell you a story about this one. I remember when I first got to Brookshire, I was coaching an agent who's a veteran agent, many, many years in the business, and just hadn't had a closing in like 6 months. So I said, look, you've got an amazing book of business. Why don't you just reach out to everybody and just say hi? And you know what? And if the conversation leads to, real estate, where they say, hey, what are you up to? Then feel free to ask for business naturally or referrals naturally. All right. So her attitude was horrible. She said, that's never going to work. I've done it before and it doesn't work. Okay. So she came back about 2 weeks later, and we had our follow-up coaching session. She sat down and she said, well, I did it, Will. And like I said, it didn't work. And I could see in her demeanor that her attitude towards or belief that she could gain new business was not where it should be. So please watch your mindset. Look, not everybody is ready for a real estate transaction. We know that. That's okay. And don't take no as a personal rejection of who you are or our maker's evaluation of the value of your soul, which we sometimes do to ourselves. We're way too critical. So keep looking. I want to tell you something here on mindset. Write this down. This was from Dirk Zeller. I'm sorry. Dirk Zeller. Oh my gosh. I got to look at his book. All right. I'll get the name later. It's one of my friends. Clearly, we're just great friends. I can't remember his last name. But he would say, you know what, Will, if we could get everyone to love finding new business. So, can I love the process of finding new business? I mean, really enjoy it, really look forward to it. And one of our own agents, Mark Erickson, guys, changed this to finding friends. So I think that's a good one to write down. That's under my mindset, right? Finding friends. So maybe I could look at it that way. How many of you would say that you've got friends that started off as clients and they were just clients, but through the process, you ended up being great friends? Yes? I know that there's many of you on this call right now that can say you have friends that were first clients. I know that's true. Okay. So maybe we could enjoy the process of finding new friends here. Okay. All right. Next are numbers. So this is a little bit like there's no 1-day diet, and there's certainly not one day of good prospecting makes a good year of production. Okay. So we're going to end up having to come face to face with some reality. Remember, it takes many potential leads to equal a client. In some aspects, prospecting is a numbers game. And here's the equation. Increase the number of first contacts, then add follow-up. That equals clients. See, there's the equation. So when we're trying to assess how your business is doing, all you have to do is ask this question. How many times have you made a first contact? Think about that. So you write that down. First contacts, question mark under 7. First contacts, question mark right here. And I could do this. I'd probably, if you were sitting here with me, I'd ask you on a daily and weekly basis. Okay. So why don't we just put weekly for a grand total for your own assessment? And let's just put in right here, my first contacts weekly. And why don't you quickly think about how many first contacts you made in the last week and write that number down. Very first contacts. Okay. And then we add follow-up. And then the next part of that equation is how many follow-up contacts have I made? Now, when I look at your faces on my Zoom here, and Rachel Moody, thank you for always being my example of a seasoned veteran agent, because when I think of Rachel's business, I think this first contact thing may not always be where the bread and butter is, right? Because a lot of people she's known for a long, long time. And I'm sure you could relate, right? I also think of John Lucky, who's an experienced agent. And so John, let's do this then. If I were coaching Rachel and John, I would say, you guys tell me how many follow-up calls today and this week have you made? And then write that number down. Okay. For everybody who, Patrick, I think I could put you in that group. Jim, I can put you in that group. Paige, I can put you in that group. You're probably need to be heavier on follow-up and a little less on the first contact. But first contacts are certainly part of the equation. Okay, there's the numbers. Okay, now let's move on. Because look at how we're going to get a client in 7 days. If you do all of these things in 7 days, this is going to work. This is going to translate into a new client for you, buyer brokered or a listing opportunity. Okay. All right, let's go through the list. How do I get a client in 7 days? Number one, really key to have follow-up. For most of you, the problem is that you're not following up on the lead that you generated 4 months ago. So, COVID has been strange for all of us, but 4 months ago. Okay. So that is, what month is that? Well, today is October. So we'd go September, August, July, June. So remember when you contacted a lot of people in June? And you're like, no, I don't remember June, Will. Okay, I can't remember 3 weeks ago. Right. It's been so fast paced. But you see how that all of a sudden starts to put a question mark on your processes? So what do you do when you generate a first lead, and how do you make sure that you're getting the follow-up as part of your process? What do you do next? So, hey, Joe, I want you to weigh in. I'll give you a minute to think about this question, but weigh in on this, because from a technical standpoint, guys, what tools are we using when you get the phone call or the referral from a friend or somebody who says, hey, did you notice that somebody told me they're looking for a house? Whatever it is, whatever it comes across your radar first, what do you do next? Okay. Joe, do you have any thoughts for everybody on how we should do that and organize that?
I do. I think one of the most primary things that agents like to get tripped up in, if you can take that as an example, is that they need some sort of CRM or some sort of specialty software to track all their contacts and track how many times they contacted them, track what type of format they contacted them in, so on and so forth. I have installed, programmed, designed, trained CRMs from Salesforce all the way down to less annoying CRM for lots of different companies. And the answer is very simple. If you can't track on a calendar, which you have on your phone, you have on your computer, you have on your desktop, who you talked to, what you talked about, and then the greatest three-letter acronym in the history of any type of relationship management, which is SNE, S-N-E, schedule the next event. You don't need anything special. You just need to be able to say, Will Cooper, on whatever, October 28th at 9:51, we talked about how to find new business. He mentioned that he went running. It was very cold. And then I take those notes, I copy them, and then I schedule a follow-up with Will at the moment I finish the conversation with you, and I schedule out for 2 weeks or 3 weeks or whatever my follow-up is, and all you need is a calendar. If you can't do it with a calendar, there's not a technology in the world that will do that for you. Why? Because it's up to you. It is you that needs to input the information. It is you that needs to record Will Cooper's name and number and input data and all that type of stuff. And so if you can't do it with just a calendar, there's not a technology that's going to help you with that. But if you just commit to writing down what you talked about and SNE, S-N-E, schedule the next event at the moment you finish talking, you will have an exponential increase in the amount of business that you are managing.
Nice. Thank you, Joe. I really appreciate that. Excellent advice, guys. Hope you're taking notes. So I'm going to keep the pedal to the floor here. So we talked earlier about the 7 contacts. So again, if I'm scheduling those things and it gets out there, hey, Joe, just to dovetail on that, one of my podcasts last week said the most underused and simplest tool is the calendar.
Yeah. Without doubt. Without doubt.
And we can set reoccurring events here. We can delegate it. A lot of times putting something on a calendar is a way for me to say, I'm not going to do it today or right now, this minute, but I am going to get to this tomorrow. I'm going to get to it next Wednesday. I'm going to get to it every Wednesday. I'm going to get to it 5 times a week, whatever it is. I can schedule that. And all of us have that simple ability to do that. Okay. Follow-up is key. Follow-up is really key.
If you're not following up, you're basically telling the person that you don't believe they're actually worth your time. And there are some of those that you actually have to make that decision on. But most of us don't answer the first phone call, email, text, direct message, Instagram post, whatever, back right away. So the assumption is on our part where we think, well, they're clearly not interested. Because if they weren't interested, they would answer me back in seconds. That's not how it works. In fact, national averages on follow-up have said that for most people, it's 7 to 8 contacts follow-up before the other person says, oh my gosh, thank you for keep following up. I was so busy with this, that, or the other thing. But we write a narrative in our head. Will doesn't want to talk to me because I emailed him 3 times and he hasn't hit me back. So clearly Will does not want to talk to me. He hates me. I'm so sorry I bugged him. Oh man, what if our friendship is now in jeopardy? I can't believe this, right? We do that to ourselves all the time. We get ourselves wrapped around the axle. That's not the case. Follow-up is absolutely critical, and not just once, and not just twice. It's 7 to 9 times before you typically get a response back.
Great. Thank you, Joe. Appreciate that. I'm going to stop sharing for just a second. I want to talk to you about what are you going to say to people? Well, can I just give you, see, I wrote down reason and why it matters. Okay. And to never, ever, ever forget why it matters, because what we do, it matters to people. So you guys tell me, you've seen what's been going on in real estate. Is lending more challenging today than it's ever been? It's a moving target. We got lenders who are backed up. Could that cost someone thousands of dollars of their earnest money deposit? Absolutely. Do we need the right lender on the job? Yes, they do. Does that mean we need a referral? We should be passionate about referring those lenders who are trusted? Absolutely. What about getting an offer accepted right now? Is that going to be a walk in the park? It's not going to be a walk in the park. What about the value and the equity that people have worked hard for? They're in their houses, and some amateur agent has no idea how to calculate appreciation or to go look at where they really are priced. Could that cost them? What about the mental anxieties that go along with just uprooting your family and changing areas? Does that matter? You don't think that that pulls on a husband and wife's relationship and then their kids and how they are? It absolutely does. So they need you. Don't forget that. They need you. You can save them so much grief. So we should be passionate about that. We could, get your trumpet out and tell the world. If you know anybody who's trying to do a real estate transaction right now, please reach out to me. It's not the way it used to be. It's changed so much. This COVID effect, it is vast. It's a moving target. And we are seeing people that are frustrated. They're disappointed. They're losing money. And it's costing relationships along the way. It matters, guys. It matters.
Will, and human psychology on this too. If you think about it, what's the number one thing that humans do when they feel overwhelmed or when there's a task in front of them that's just too difficult for them to start engaging in? The number one human behavior is avoidance, right? So the whole idea that you're talking about here is you're the one that reaches out and say, I know where you're at. I know how frustrated you are. I know how difficult this is. Take my hand. I'm going to pull you through this process, right? And they need someone to help make that move. Otherwise, you get stuck.
Yeah. I think what I'm trying to say is that it's easy right now to talk about real estate, right? We know a lot of people are thinking about moving or know someone who's thinking or considering it. So you just scream that to everybody. The COVID effect on real estate has been profound. It's been historic. Therefore, there's a lot of change. There's a lot of variables, and it takes a real engaged professional and a company like Berkshire Hathaway to help guide them through this because it matters to people. Okay. Let's go back to screen share and pick up where we left off and fly through the rest of this. All right. The overwhelming majority of business originates from people we already know. This is a great place for referrals. And so I want to ask you a few other questions about this. So will you do me a favor and write down the number of people right now in your database, anywhere, maybe just right here? Okay, write that number down. If we were in a one-on-one coaching session right now, I would say, do you know the number? See, if you know the number, that tells me something, doesn't it? See, how far did you run? I know exactly how far I ran. I ran 4.2 miles. I know exactly how far I ran, okay? Because it said it on my Garmin watch. and plus my lower back hurts because I'm getting old, you guys. Anyway, I ran 4.2 miles. It's always interesting to me when someone will say, well, I ran today. And then I'll go, really? How far? And then, anyway, so what's for lunch? Okay, if you know the number of your database, that tells me a lot about how important it is to you. If you don't know the number, that's a problem. Okay, you're not managing it as well as you should. The next one is, so let's do this. Let's go to the next number is just newly added. And see, guys, this is not just random. Okay, remember, here, I'll just stop sharing for just a second. I'm only talking about what's already in our business plan. Okay, So when we're talking about the health and where we are with our business, we've got to get serious about how we manage the people that we know. So here's the challenge in this contacting SOI. Think about this. Do I have a full data set? I mean, do I have first, last names, email, mailing address, cell phone number, place of business? Do I have that data? You can always work to add that. Okay, this could be delegated. For those of you who have people on a team or are considering that, consider that role of adding, working to get a full data set and adding this data to your database, because the different forms of contacting could be used if I have the different data sets. All right, that's obvious. Right? Okay. Okay, next one. Do business on Main Street by holding an open house. I mean, if I could wave my magic wand, I think I'd have you contacting the surrounding 100 people safely contacting the people around the open house. We have an event-like atmosphere. So, you know, this is coming soon is the open house. It's next Saturday. A lot of you do this really well. So many agents in our company do this well. But you know why I have this as number 3? Because I hear all the time agents saying, I don't have enough business. And I say, have you held an open house lately? And they say no. You know, open houses still work. Yes, John, thank you. Guys, John is a very, very successful veteran agent. Sorry to embarrass you, John, but you listen to what John is saying. They still work. And it's kind of a natural thing for us. You know, I mean, a realtor who doesn't hold open houses is like a dentist that doesn't practice dentistry. I just think that that's kind of funny, you know? So let's get out there and talk about property. See, you'll notice that when you have an open house, you can now start talking to everyone about it, right? You can talk to your SOI, your friends, your family, you know, you're like, hey, I'm holding a house open. And that's another way to naturally engage a conversation in real estate. So get scheduled, get with our agents, get that inventory open, and be the one who's there to meet people, okay? Number 4 is the personal networking. You know, Jamie Roney in orientation said, we're all marketing all the time. Make sure that you get really comfortable in, hey, here's my card. I'd love to help you or anyone else you know. And you go, well, but I'm not really, okay, get over that. Just get over it, okay? Change the mindset. Remember back to what I just said. If you don't get the word out about how hard it is to do real estate transactions right now, then you only end up hurting them and their friends and their family, right? So tell people, here's my card, guys. If you have anybody who's thinking about a real estate transaction in the near future, this would be the best thing you could do is refer them to me, because it's not what it used to be. And people are very frustrated. You get that word out, okay? So that's just sharing the card and the reason for it. That should be an easy thing to do, and people will appreciate that, okay? All right. This campaign style approach to finding new listings, I hope what will happen in number 5 is that you'll be inspired to think of it in a unique way to find listings in your area, the areas that you want to practice, okay? But I put down here as teasers is like, well, can I do print here? Can I canvas? Can I go call? What can I do? How can I start to have a campaign approach? And it's election season. So think about all the different ways that we are reached in the campaign style approach to finding new listings. And there's so much content that the marketing department has ready to go. So here's what I would do on 5. Let's do this. Select my style. Write that right here. Select my style. See, it's campaign style. Select my style. And where am I going to go to do that? Okay, I can go to Resource Center for so much content. I need to have a business meeting here, or even with myself, and say, okay, how am I going to find inventory? And look, the messages, we've said this over and over and over again. It happens in sales meeting, other coaching things. Appreciation right now is at all-time highs. We don't want people to undersell. You know, they may make deals that we never know about, family, friends, neighbors, without involving a professional, and leave a lot of money on the table. So we want to get that message out, okay? see number 6 and number 3, how well they go together. You know, promote a property. I do expect my dentist to talk about dentistry and not just, well, he used to always send me, you know, seeds for flowers for my flower beds every spring. And I just jokingly use this as an analogy, but what if that's all he ever did? And he never talked about dentistry, like how to have healthy teeth. You know, I mean, that would be weird, right? So we promote property. So let's talk about some. Let's post about properties. Select a few properties. But put a note here, please. Please pay attention to this one. Get permission. Please get permission from the listing agent. Trust me on that. Okay. Most of them would be thrilled to have you share anything about their listing to your center of influence. They'd be thrilled. We're not going to debate today, and I'm not going to go into the code of ethics or, you know, a disclosure of listing brokerage and all those requirements right now. But if you please get written permission, an email is fine, a text is fine, and then you promote that property, gosh, trust me, guys, that's a great way to get leads generated, okay? Especially when you don't have listings. Notice I put last on the list, and I did try to prioritize this. I think I put a lot of weight in the top 3 or 4, and then a lot of less weight on for sale by owners and expireds. There's not a whole lot of those in our market like they used to be, but again, I would meet them and solve the problem. Okay, so I come back up to, well, what's the problem? That's discovery. You know, up and asking good questions. Okay. All right, on the, if I were try to lose 10 pounds, or if I wanted to run in my first half marathon, or I had a goal in any other place of my life, save money, whatever it is, okay, I would count and track, okay? See, there's, again, one of my mentors says, if it matters to you, you're measuring it. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to stop sharing. Because I got to get personal here for a minute, okay? You say it matters. You say you want more business. You say you really want more business, okay? But what I find interesting is that the evidence to support that you really want something is missing the tracking. So I'm going to give it back to you. I don't think you really want it until you really start tracking it. So how about we just start tracking it? Okay, now this might be a little too much information, but you know, we're all human. So I'll gain weight, lose weight, gain weight, lose weight. You know what I don't want to do? I never want to get on that scale if I know it won't be pretty. Now you see how backwards that is? Because why can't I just be real about what I'm doing? And because you say, well, it's just depressing. You know, I don't want to know, you know. But if I want to turn it around, I've got to start tracking it. Okay? So just start measuring what matters to you. And that applies to all aspects of our lives. Okay, because let me give you an example. You know, on my relationship with I have a little brother who I'll say he's just challenged. Okay, he was born challenged. I love him. I'm his oldest brother. When I was a teenager, I took him everywhere with me. He's simple to please. If you want to talk about ducks and dinner, he's happy. But I've been pretty busy over the last few years, and I've had a hard time finding time to go to dinner with my brother. Well, I went to dinner with him last night, Red Robin. He wanted to go to Red Robin and have a hamburger. And so I went with him. It was so pleasant. I made it a goal though. And I actually put it in my calendar. Reach out to Adam. And that matters to me. So I start tracking it. It's not just prospecting. It's all areas of our lives. It really matters to you. I'll challenge you to measure it. Okay. Okay. All right. Things to remember here. Let's go on. So this is where I started getting into some of the things I've learned about us as humans and the relationship between what we know and what we do. Okay. If I look at, I'm going to just go through your faces here, and I'm going to pull out who I consider to be veterans. I've already said a lot of you already. Let's see if I got anybody on the second page here. Brian Klinger is on. Lori and Diane and Caitlin and Cindy, I all know are veteran agents. Phil, Bev is on. And I'm not getting everybody here, but there's a lot of experience. Jill Stringham is also on. Eric Jensen is on. Kim Phipps up in Logan, our broker up there, is on. There's a lot of experience. Here's what we know. Perhaps you've heard that knowledge is power. Is knowledge power? I'll say no, it is not power. It's only potential power. So only applied knowledge has energy and power. Otherwise, it's potential, right? What is good? What good is knowing how to do some things, but not doing it, right? So what good is knowing how to do it, but not actually doing it? Okay, the real test is not to know it. The real test is to act upon it, use it, and apply it. So if you haven't been holding open houses or prospecting the right way, then I start to notice, okay, guys, let's pivot to this, okay? And I'm just going to give you a revelation that I had where I realized that these things here, they're actually very, very, very different fundamentals, okay? And what I realized is that these are words, but in these words, if I added more words to them, I do get this phase or fundamental, I guess, phase that I'm in, okay? So I use the core four, so use this to understand where you are. So we've talked about prospecting today. So where am I in prospecting? Am I applying what I know I should be doing? So over here, hope is a good thing, but hope is dream, wish, vision, and idea. I love this phase. I love thinking about what's possible. Then over here, I have what I believe. This is also, I could use another word like faith. I could also talk about it because I can talk all day long about what I believe. This is also my know-how, so my knowledge resides here, and even a conviction, I may say. But that is what I tend to believe. For most of us, guys, we take what we believe and we apply it, right? Most people do what they believe, okay? But not all of us do everything we believe in. And that's where I think we've got the battle, is what is in the way? My goodness, what's in the way for me meeting new friends? What is standing in the way? So this is where I realize, so this is the action. So cause, walk, discipline, application, obedience, muscle, might, what needs to be done, all there. Results of the effect of this. And I noticed that there isn't anything in between these. See, you have a cause, you immediately get an effect. Even if I ate good one meal, there's a positive effect to that. If I made one phone call, there's still a positive effect to that. It's almost like you can't stop it, right? So what I realized, and a lot of you had this from me before, but see, I think in a perfect world, we would go like this. And I'm just going to go to the end here, okay? In a perfect world, I'd have an idea that, you know what, wow, this has been a really good coaching session. We'll spark some thoughts on some things I could do. And I immediately start to believe I can do them. And so guess what I do? I put them on my calendar. I do what Joe said, what Will said, and I start to apply them immediately, and I get the effect of it. That'd be nice if we just marched from one to the other, to the next, to the next. That would be really nice. But you know what? It doesn't always happen that way, because some of you right now are listening to this and you don't believe it yet. You don't believe that you're going to be able to generate the business yet. Okay? It's not, you haven't built the belief yet. You don't believe that if you were better in your database, if you're better at reaching out, or if you're more disciplined, if you calendar it, you know, you're not really quite there yet. Okay? It's for some of you. So for you, what I'm going to say is, what if I took the action and I put it before belief? What if I only took the hope of new business and I just merely got into action? What if I did that? What if I just skipped altogether this thing of I've got to believe it first? What if I just said, you know what? I don't need that. I don't need to believe it, right? So this came from me talking to, I was talking to someone who's struggling with drug addiction. Okay, I know it's an extreme example. Sorry to get too heavy, but this is where this came to me because he said, I don't believe any of this. And I said, I don't care. I really don't care right now if you believe it. We can save belief for later. Right now, we need to get you healthy. You see, and I was like, wow, you don't always have to believe it first. Haven't you ever heard someone say, I can't believe I did it? Right? You know, I can't believe that. Wow. You know, like I closed 200 million in a year. I can't believe I did that. Right? I can't believe I ran for 26.2 miles. Can't believe that. Right? It's unbelievable. Well, what they're trying to say is their belief was waning. They may have had some. Notice, see these dials? What I'm suggesting here is there's different degrees of hope and there's different degrees of belief, right? If I turn belief all the way up, I get conviction, and conviction almost always leads to action. So maybe and then if I turn the action way up, you know what I can get? I can get belief. Oh my gosh. Sorry, you're like, Will, we already knew this. If you already knew this, then sorry. But this was huge for me because I realized that I didn't have to wait to believe something. I could just go do it, and then I build the belief in it. Okay? That's what I'm trying to say. So don't wait to believe in it. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay? So that's all about this. Knowledge is only potential power. It is not power itself. It's only potential. Okay? How many of you have heard this saying before? Nod your head. Real estate is a contact sport. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for you're still with me. Way to go. It is. It's a very a very smart person said to me one time. He said, "What is the first step in generating new business for you?" Okay. Grab your chat. Answer this question for me. This was a very smart individual with a Harvard degree who said, what is the first step of generating new business for you? The very first step. Write it in the chat. What do you think that is? You know what? He was talking to veterans. And I'm thinking, we're all looking around going, hey, what's the first step? I don't know. Does anybody know? We're going, are you kidding me? We're all doing a lot of business. Nobody knows what the first step is. All right, let's see what you guys got. Okay. John says, believe that you can do it. Okay. Although I just put that on its head, John. It would be, okay, to John's point, it would be better if you believed it first. It would be better. But if you don't believe it, don't wait for belief. Do it anyway. Okay. Maura says, wanting it. All of us have got some free agency and choice. So, you know, I guess that's the choice right here. Mara's saying, make the choice to want it. Very good. Julie, believe in yourself. Good. Andy, contact somebody. Yeah. I like that. Contact somebody. Jill says visualizing it. So first, if I see it, then back to the core four, what Jill's saying is that's the beauty of hope. Because I could first see and me achieving it, and then I can have an easier time doing it. Mike says hope. Again, that visualizing and hope. Very good. Being committed to action. Yep. So true, Kim. We've got to be better committed to the application of what we know. Got to be better there. I think that's the battle. One of our, I remember talking to a new agent, stop sharing for a second. So I was talking to a new agent up in one of our offices, and he said, I want to do what Joe Holden does. Okay. If you guys don't know Joe Holden, GCI is always north of $500,000, but He hovers somewhere around $700,000. He's a single agent with a transaction coordinator and an assistant. Okay. So in one person. So it's him and one other person. That's an enormous amount of business for one person. Would you guys agree? That's a lot of business. Okay. But the new agent who's been in the business about 6 months says, I want to do what Joe does. And then he goes, but I don't want to do what Joe does. And I kind of go, well, I got nothing for you. You know? I mean, I don't know what to say. And I'm not saying that Joe Holden has got it all figured out. Nobody does. But he has figured out processes and prospecting and systems, and he's consistent and he's disciplined, right? And so it's weird that we would say, I want his business numbers, but I don't want to do what he does, right? Because that is the thing. We just have to do what those who are successful do, and now we've got something. So I'll go through the rest of these. Contacting Angie, gratitude. The thing I love about gratitude is it sets my mindset right. There's a lot of things that are going well in our lives. Don't read the news. Okay, well, maybe a little bit, but don't believe everything there, right? I mean, it's a lot of negative. So there's a lot of things that are going right. Connecting with people. Very good, Tara, very good. I think that's really important. Make a plan. Again, make our plan. If you guys, we've all been there. We wanted to do something physical. So maybe we're going to like, I want to run, I want to get more exercise, I want to diet, I want to lose weight, whatever the nut. But what's the plan, right? Everyone will ask you, so what are you doing? And you'd say, oh, I do this, and then I do that. I do this every day, and I do this once a week, and right? You'd have a plan. So what is the prospecting plan? And the more random this is, the more random your results are, you know? So let's make the plan and get that dialed in. Committing to yourself that it's possible. One step first. Very, very good. I don't know who iPhone is, Joe, but we've got another. The very smart iPhone is weighing in. One step first. But you know how so a marathon runner, and if you guys don't know this, but I guess I could use Rob Lee, but Jim is Rob's son or dad. and Rob, look, so didn't he pedal all across the country, Jim? Okay, so he biked across the country. How do you do that? You know, I remember one marathoner who ran across Canada. He said, I did it one telephone pole at a time. So I think the 26.2 or the $100 million of volume or the 500,000 GCI or whatever the number is for you, okay, it can sometimes stop you from starting because it's so big. So don't worry about that. Okay, you run marathons and long distance stuff one thing at a time. Okay, there is no one-day diet. Okay, so if you fall off the plan for a day, don't worry about it. You get back on, you get consistent. Okay. By the way, on counting and tracking, I didn't have to go back. Let's go back to our handout. I got to get you a tip down here before we're almost out of time. We will end on time. I promise you we'll end on time. So that means we've got 7 more minutes. Let's go back to this. I got to get you a tip on how to count. Okay. So when we're talking about this contact sport and how we do all of that, there's something that I've learned about myself. When I take a look at a week, and I can say, I want to ask myself, was I healthy this week? Okay, I am not healthy this week if I did not at least do my exercise and diet plan 3 times. Now that's only 3 times out of 7 days, guys. So that's not even half. But I think the principle applies to prospecting. So do this. You want a good prospecting week? The minimum is 3 days. 3 days of good, solid prospecting. And we could do better than that, but that's the minimum. Otherwise, we didn't have a good week. I think it sets my mind right to remember, yep, you had a good day. That was great, but can you do it tomorrow, right? So do it tomorrow. It's the power of 3. So write that down, power of 3.
And if you need a little inspiration, just look at the dashboard of participants, because our own Peter Felix is literally out prospecting right now. He's out walking doors right now.
Nice. He's getting his good content in. What you're doing matters. The people that you talk to, you can save them so much time and grief and money. So what you're doing matters. And that passion you use to go contact people. and we have a good attitude about it. Yeah, but should I knock on that door again? Yep, you should knock on it again, Peter. Knock on it again, because Peter is one of the best agents I know in our company. We have a lot of great agents like Peter, but Peter's outstanding at what he does. And anybody would be lucky and fortunate to have Peter as their agent. So see, those kinds of affirmations are not only true, but they're needed to motivate us to continue to stay disciplined on what we need to do every day. Okay. So the power of three, guys, power of three, real estate's a contact sport. Okay. 3 times a week. Okay. So how about this concept here? Let's just even dig a little deeper. Who would you bet on? I got 2 horses here. So let's see what you would do. Okay. Which horse would you bet on? Horse number 1 is extremely energetic, very energetic, young horse with tons of enthusiasm for the business and is extremely high. For business is extremely high. No, the horse is not high, but he has an enthusiasm is high. The horse is not high. Okay, sorry. His experience is, well, there isn't any. But he's extremely eager to learn and work. Okay. Horse number 2 has decades of experience and mindful of knowledge, mind filled with knowledge. Sorry, typo. His passion for the business is low. His energy and enthusiasm are low. Which horse produces the better results? What do you think? Put it in the chat. Which would you bet on? You want horse number 1 who's got all the enthusiasm in the world, is like, woohoo, I love real estate. I don't know anything about it, but I love it. It's so awesome. And the other horse is like, yeah, you know what? The market's a mess. I mean, you know what? So many discounters out there and industry's cheapened, and I don't know. Nobody really wants to talk to us. Everyone knows a realtor, right? So do you think that there's a secret answer here that's not number 1 or 2? What is it, Debbie? You're nodding. Debbie Sexton, what is it? The secret answer is what? Both. Both. Right? Why can't we stay really excited about what we're doing? You know, we find the passion. If you've been in the business a long, long time, remember what you do matters, you guys. And seriously, okay? Stop sharing again. Seriously, I know that I could look at all of our experienced agents on this call and say, you have dear friends that started off as clients. And if we measure the value of our life or the happiness of our life beyond the friends that we've helped or been around and they lift us, my goodness, this is not just about money. This is about helping people, right? And that's always the better payday. I promise you, there is no amount of money that will make you happier than lifting the burden from someone else and being a guiding star for them in what they're trying to accomplish for them and their family. Nothing is a higher payday than that, right? So it does matter. What if we could be just as excited as horse number 1, but with all of the information and knowledge and experience of horse number 2 and combine them together? We've got something really special then, don't we? So the thing is, they're both important. They're both important, right? And I think that that's what can guide our prospecting. Okay. So here's some tips on face-to-face prospecting. If you are going to do door-to-door, I think I'd probably have wear a mask on here too now. Sorry about that. Wear a mask. I think later in another coaching session, I'll go through what these 6 points are later. What's the perfect week in real estate? Well, it'd be a closing every day. We do our closings at 4 o'clock every day. Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fantastic to close every day? How do we get there? So again, more things to think about on how you're doing this. Time blocking is a discipline in the time we spend. So we say I prospect from this time to this time. Right now, we've got Peter out walking a neighborhood. He's paused his camera, but he's out there because he's time blocked the time to prospect. Get that on your calendar as a reoccurring event. Make it an appointment. That's a very good first step after this class. Okay.
Will, 2-second insert there. There is no such thing as time management. There is only you managing yourself into the time we all have. You cannot manage time. You can only manage yourself into the same 24 hours we all have. So the idea that you can somehow change the universe and shortcut what's required does not exist. You can only manage yourself into the same amount of time we all have.
Yeah. Thank you, Joe. Joe is not only a very dear friend, but he's very, very wise in this. He's got his experience behind this too. It's not just talk. He understands this because he's lived it. You guys, we're out of time. I would like you to put one thing that you are going to act on. This is the application. Please do that in the chat before you sign off. Let me remind you again that I do love you all. I pray and can think about you guys on how I can help you all the time. I'm honored to be a part of this company, sincerely. I'm inspired by how you help other people. I get to hear from you privately, and I see how much you care, and it's very inspiring to me. If anyone's feeling a little lost and needs some one-on-one, I'm here for you. Please reach out, and I'd be happy to spend some one-on-one time with you, okay? I hope you'll have a great day, and you take some of these things and you apply them and make them part. You'll feel really good tonight when you contribute to the application of what you know. That's the side effect. It's really good. It's like Mother Nature's way of saying you're on the right track. You know, that's why you feel good. It's not always the result per se, but it's that you're proud of the effort you put in, and it can lift you and energize you for the next day. Okay. Okay, guys. Well, we're out of time. Okay. I'm not going to sign off yet, but you're free to go. Thanks for the input, and thanks for being a part of our coaching session this morning. I thought it was a really good session. Don't you agree? Was this worth it today? Okay, great. Thanks, Britt. Like the double thumbs up. Okay, love you guys. I'll hang out for a minute if you want to chat after. Okay, bye-bye. Joe, you can